I mean, I've never been so sick in my life.
A man claims medical marijuana made him seriously ill.
Inflamed lungs, total disorientation. I could only get out of bed for an hour or two.
Tonight, the problem solvers investigate problem pot and why the state refuses to get involved.
The state has no responsibility in the regulatory functions of medical marijuana.
100,000 people in our state have a medical marijuana authorization card. It lets them grow marijuana or be part of a co-op that grows and sells it to them. But that's where the protections end.
KOMO 4 problem solver Matt Markovich went undercover. He found sick people who may rely on medical marijuana have no legal recourse if they get bad pot.
Everything about medical marijuana is based on trust.
I started smoking it when I became depressed, and it helped me tremendously.
Michael Van Ditto has been a card-carrying medical marijuana smoker for years, but then he stopped.
I mean, I've never been so sick in my life. Total weakness, inflamed lungs, total disorientation. I could only get out of bed for an hour or two.
He suspected it was from fungus in marijuana he bought at the North Seattle Medical Collective.
I only became ill when I started shopping at this particular marijuana medical shop.
He says his doctor couldn't identify his illness, but his symptoms were akin to fungal pneumonia. For people with compromised immune systems, fungus in pot could lead to a deadly infection called aspergillosis.
Basically, the fungus takes up residence. Instead of on the plant, suddenly it's growing in your lungs.
Van Ditto considered the medical pot he bought a health hazard and wanted it tested by authorities. But he quickly realized a predicament facing all medical marijuana users. There's no public agency he can turn to.
People think it's legal for all these other purposes, but it isn't.
Van Ditto asked for help from the problem solvers. We wanted to test the marijuana the collective was selling. So we outfitted Van Ditto with a hidden camera because he's authorized to buy medical marijuana. Only members are allowed in the collective's bud room. With more than 30 strains to choose from, Van Ditto let the attendant choose a strain for him, Granddaddy Hayes. We then turned to the state agency charged with protecting residents from health hazards, the Department of Health. We wanted them to test the pot for fungus, but the Department of Health says it legally cannot do so, issuing a statement saying, the Department of Health has no authority to inspect or check quality of marijuana. We then went to the State Liquor Control Board, the agency that will oversee the upcoming so-called legal recreational use and sale of marijuana, and that includes consumer safety.
We're supposed to set quality standards, making sure consumer safety is involved in this.
But here's the irony. It cannot legally set up protections for medical marijuana users, sick people who may need it the most.
The state has no responsibility in the regulatory functions of medical marijuana. And Initiative 502 doesn't impact medical marijuana either.
It's sending the wrong message to people.
Doug Hyatt is an attorney representing users and growers of marijuana. He blames the mixed messages on conflicting and poorly written laws and believes the state won't ever get involved in pot testing because the federal government sees marijuana as illegal.
You're subjecting state employees to federal criminal law.
And this should catch almost everything that's growing.
So concerned users are leaving up to a growing industry of private laboratories like Analytical 360 in North Seattle to perform quality testing on pot.
There is an issue with things being tainted. So I'm crushing it up here.
Analytical 360 tested the pot for fungus immediately after Van Ditto bought it.
You can't tell what it is by smelling it or tasting it. You have to actually have a chemical analysis done.
The lab says it exceeded the acceptable range of fungus for therapeutic marijuana. At this rate, smoking it could lead to fungal pneumonia, and sick people shouldn't be smoking it. We wanted another test. A month after the first buy, Van Ditto went back to the dispensary buying some A-Train, another strain of marijuana the attendant suggested. Analytical 360 tested it. The fungus levels were lower than the first sample, but still above the acceptable range for therapeutic marijuana. We then told North Seattle Medical Collective of our hidden camera investigation.
We inspect all the products, and it seemed okay to us, and we smoked it, obviously, because we try everything.
The collective uses ultraviolet light to test the marijuana it gets from growers.
If there was anything that was moldy, it would show up green.
But after viewing Analytical 360's results online, its Granddaddy Haze and A-Train are
no longer available. The growers have been alerted that that's not acceptable.
Dank says because of our investigation, they will now offer full microbial testing on all of its products.
Because we came in with our camera, that you're now going to do microbial testing instead of this?
Absolutely.
So it comes down to this. The business of medical marijuana is all about trust because the user has no legal protections from buying bad pot.
We operate on a certain level of trust with the patients that if there's something wrong or they're experiencing a negative side effect, they come and tell us.
Ditto says he's not going to smoke marijuana anymore, or not until there's a quality control system in place that he trusts.
I don't want to take the chance of getting deathly ill again.
In Seattle, Matt Markovich, KOMO 4 News.